Hey guys, good to see you. A lot of people already in the chat, which is unsurprising given the recent price movement. Finally made it above all-time high. It's been, I think, almost exactly 3 years. So now everyone that has bought is in profit. So yeah, doing good, doing good. I will talk about how to treat, like how to kind of work with this, what to do, the altcoins, what I'm expecting of those, because really these gains have been largely done by Bitcoin alone. Maybe ETH on top, but like mostly Bitcoin. So I bet there's a lot of altcoin holders that are hoping that their altcoin is gonna catch up. We'll talk about it, see where we're at, and yeah, looking forward to it. Donald, my duck, how are your bags doing? So far, so good. So far, so good. Before we start, big shout out to Bybit for sponsoring the show. They let us do this with no kind of guideline on what to do. So I really appreciate that. So we can talk about any altcoins, Bitcoin, anything really that you guys want to see. So yeah, they've been amazing to work with. So appreciate their support. Their links are in the description if you want to check them out. If not, that's also okay. But yeah. So yeah, welcome. Today is a special day. You don't get these all-time high breaks too often, at least for the longest time. And then at some point you get them every single day. That's at least how it was in 2017. Gonna hope that kind of repeats itself, where you get multiple all-time highs and it just kind of keeps going up. So yeah, we'll talk about that, and then like I said, the altcoins as well. How are you guys doing? Everyone all right? Hey, sorry for off topic, but maybe we'll make it before. Does altcoins on BitMEX work like, let's say, Link BTC or Link USD? Depends on which altcoin you're trading there. If you're trading ETH USD, then that's obviously different, but the old BTC pairs are pretty much similar, yeah. Fuck yeah, all time high, yeah, fuck yeah. So okay, let's start with Bitcoin. Get the big boy done and over with. So high time frames, like I've been saying for now, how long? 3 months, still bullish, nothing bearish to say. Weekly, same story. Took out the high, right? And you want to see like some form of expansion. You don't want to see this weekly turn red, but I mean, why would it, right? Just hoping it doesn't and expecting it doesn't. If it does turn red, I think that'd be an indication of further pullback. But before it does happen, I don't think it makes much sense to kind of be bearish in the high time frames. Don't want to be like in these territories. And yeah, I know that I've oftentimes say you gotta like expect something before it does happen. But like in these circumstances when it just keeps going up, right, you actually want to have some confirmation at the tops in, right? Like for example, if you wanted to short 20K, you don't want to just, or like anything of this rally really, you don't want to just blindly short anything. You're more than good if you're shorting the first kind of bounce off of the big nuke at the top, and who knows what that's gonna be, right? Could be here, could be 30K, could be 40K, who knows? I don't. So makes a lot of sense to just give it that room and just let it go, and then we'll see how it goes, where it goes. So yeah, high time frame still bullish, nothing to say there. Daily time frame, same story really. Retested support here and then just broke to the upside, right? So far, all we've been doing on Bitcoin is setting a support, getting close-ish or retesting it in this case, and then setting, in this case, we've even set resistances and then just broke them. And yeah, the moment this resistance started to give, the all-time high was relatively a safe bet, in my opinion. The 12-month chart you posted is crazy. Yeah, we can talk about it briefly. So high time frame wise, Bitcoin's still performing really, really well. This is the yearly chart of Bitcoin. So there's nothing but bullish, right? So it doesn't really make much sense to be like the biggest bear and just expect it to trend down for a long time just based on the fact that it hasn't done that yet. We've not really had any high time frame downtrend on Bitcoin. We've had some on the altcoins, but we haven't had any on Bitcoin. So yeah. Any good altcoin setups that catch your attention? Have an example on what to look out for. Yeah, we'll look at one or two. I've actually have a pretty nice one, so we can start with that. XRP, which a lot of people are going to be sad to hear about, but I think XRP has a pretty good setup in the sense that it's pretty neat in validation, right? Which I managed to snag when people were dumping their altcoins when Bitcoin was rallying through all-time high. So high time frame on XRP, you're kind of sitting here at support, right? And this is what I've been saying for XRP in general. This has to hold. And now that we're here, it makes sense to me to kind of bet on it holding, just based on the fact that if it doesn't, it's just gonna completely bleed out, and then you're not gonna get too long XRP again. I think this is pretty much the last time, at least on the Bitcoin pair, we're actually gonna get a setup. And if it does bleed out, there's not gonna be a setup. Maybe it randomly pumps, but yeah, you don't want to see that. So in general, I think this is pretty much the last time around this range low into the cycle lows. So I don't mind XRP right now. The only problem with it is that the airdrop that's been, or like the snapshot that for the airdrop that's coming is already played out. So you're kind of fighting uphill there, but it's still a decent setup. And the setup is basically on the Bitcoin pair. It depends on which one you play. Low shouldn't get taken out again. And in general, if it does close below that green line, it's the least time to pay attention. Be a little bit cautious. And then just expect at least the high to get taken out, if not more, right? That is kind of like one of the setups that makes sense to me. Or like maybe playing into this one. But yeah, we'll see. I'm looking for like the more interesting one is actually the XRP USD one, where you're sitting at support as well, right? So you're sitting at support on the Bitcoin pair, you're sitting at support on the USD pair, so it's kind of worth a try. I think the chance of it playing out is less than 50%, but given that the reward is quite high, it just makes sense, right? So shouldn't take out 44 like the low here, and then the next resistance kind of up here, right? So that's the one where I see the cleanest setup. I'm not a big fan of XRP, so I'm looking around for more, and I'm not all inning this kind of stuff, not even close, but it's not a bad setup, I think. Just trusting this support and trusting the Bitcoin pair support to hold, and then kind of go for the next resistance. If that does fail, I think, like if we start losing this, I think it just bleeds out back to 0.3. And the same with Bitcoin pair, with the Bitcoin pair. If it does start losing this support, it's gonna just go back to cycle low and then further low. But yeah, not too bad. I got a pretty nice price for it. Got in like way below the support. So hey Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea of looking at altcoin Bitcoin charts instead of altcoin USD charts is that in some cases it's better to keep holding Bitcoin, right? Yeah, so for me, and it might be different for you guys, right? But the reason why these charts are all Bitcoin nominated, right? why I'm looking at EOS BTC instead of EOS USD is because I'm not sitting here with fiat on hand trying to buy these. I'm sitting here with Bitcoin on hand and then kind of thinking about, okay, do I exchange my Bitcoin into an altcoin? And in essence, what you're doing when you're doing that is you're shorting Bitcoin and you're longing the altcoin, right? So for example, if you're trading Bitcoin USD, right, and you're buying Bitcoin on leverage or whatever, what you're doing is you're buying Bitcoin, you're selling USD, right? And it's the same thing here with these pairs, right? So when you're buying an altcoin in general, basically what you're saying is, okay, I'm selling my Bitcoin for something else. And a lot of people don't get that. And they're like, oh, my altcoin went up from 30 cents to 50 cents. So that's really good. But the thing is, like, if you've just held Bitcoin in that same time span, you would have probably made more. And then it doesn't really make much sense, right? You're just wasting potential, basically. So you don't wanna be buying altcoins when you're expecting them to do worse than Bitcoin. It just doesn't make sense, right? Because I mean, when you're buying Bitcoin, you have less risk than buying an altcoin because the altcoins can go away easier. Bitcoin is kind of established. So there's a lot of reasons why, like, when you're expecting the same returns, you would want to be buying Bitcoin. So if you don't expect an altcoin to outperform Bitcoin, why buy the altcoin in general? So that's why these charts make the most sense to me. Obviously, still kind of nice to, for example, for XRP here, to have confluence between the two. So if you have XRP USD at support, XRP BTC at support, I mean, that makes the trade a little bit easier. But then again, like, the main kind of decision that I'm making is, do I want to buy XRP with my Bitcoin? And in almost 90% of the history of XRP, that's a no for me. And then you look at XRP USD, and that's been a pretty decent, like, this has been at support for ages. And we talked about this back then. But the USD pair, you're kind of, like, yes, if you have USD and you want to get into the crypto space, this is at support. But you actually want to see it outperform Bitcoin. So that's the kind of main goal, in my opinion anyway. But yeah, that's XRP. I think there's a possibility of a play there. Like I said, I don't, like, it's not too high confidence, but it is confluent between the Bitcoin and the USD pair, and it's a little bit of a higher time frame setup. So decent. That said, if Bitcoin continues to rally, right, which could happen, and we've seen this in 2017, where Bitcoin just goes on this crazy run, I think the altcoin Bitcoin pairs are gonna suffer. And if Bitcoin loses 20k again, which this would be really bad in my opinion, if you start trading back below 20k, because then you open up the possibility for, like, a further pullback. And I think that pullback would go, like, if it's not a quick wick into like 19k, I think that pullback would go to like 16 down here maybe. So you don't want to see Bitcoin lose 20k, because then both the altcoins and Bitcoin get wrecked. And you don't want to see Bitcoin just go on a mad run. Otherwise, you're just going to be outperformed by Bitcoin. So kind of what I'm expecting is at least like a little bit of a slowdown. If that doesn't happen, I mean, then I'm going to be one of the warriors that says at least my USD value went up, right? But like I said, I'm not all in this, not even close. You got to be a little bit cautious. And in general, like, how the bigger altcoin moves have all started out. And excuse me if I'm going on a tangent here, but they usually start out with one of the majors just completely going apeshit, and Litecoin was the last one, basically. Litecoin went really crazy, and I'm looking for Litecoin setup. I didn't get filled. I tried to get into Litecoin long, didn't get filled, missed it barely. So yeah, it is what it is. The worst thing about all of this is, like, when you're bidding altcoins or anything really in a market, the ones that are the most bullish are the ones that are not going to get you filled. because there's not enough people that are selling into you, right? And there's enough people that are bidding alongside you. So it's kind of, this is a little bit concerning. Maybe I don't get in. But Litecoin, very similar setup to XRP, I think, where you have this Bitcoin pair at support, right? Kind of like mini inverse head and shoulders at this resistance. I don't mind this setup at all. Even more so given the fact that Litecoin's actually been going up while Bitcoin's showing strength, right? So this is massive strength. So I don't mind Litecoin either. It's actually probably my favorite. It just didn't fill me. Do you think yesterday was the last time of Bitcoin below 20K? No idea, but I mean, I doubt it. It's just the question of how long is it going to take to go back, and then how low is it going to go below it. But no idea. Like that kind of stuff is just basically reading the stars. No one really knows. So yeah. Any other altcoins in XRP that look decent? Not a fan of XRP to buy in big. Like I said, Litecoin's not bad. And with these, like if they lose their recent lows that they set, I think that toast. So like the invalidation is pretty nice. A friend of mine bought Bitcoin Cash at the lows. I'm not a big fan. I kind of tried to console him with the fact that this doesn't look too terrible, right? Where you have like these move downs into like tiny bounce, into a little bit lower, into like a bigger bounce. But in general, I'm not a big fan of this kind of setup. So Litecoin and XRP just look better to me. But who knows? Maybe this, like Bitcoin Cash is known to have some weird pumps out of nowhere. So like this one was pretty big. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of how it's looking right now. That said, it's probably the one with the tightest invalidation, because if it does go back below here, it's probably done for as well. So, and like, don't get me wrong, just because I'm talking about, okay, these are not looking too bad, right? Doesn't mean you have to jump into them immediately, because like I said, if Bitcoin keeps on rallying, like let's say it goes to 25K, which is possible given the fact that it's broken all-time high, you get some hype off of that. You're gonna get, it might be that you're buying these altcoins and these altcoins start going sideways, like the Bitcoin pair mega dumps, the USD pair goes sideways and you're stuck in this and you're mega mad that you're missing out the entire run. And that has happened in 17. There was this big meme of up in USD where people were continuously buying altcoins into the Bitcoin rally, and then Bitcoin just kept going and going and going and going, and then the altcoins just couldn't keep up. And people were like, oh yeah, I'm up in USD, I'm doing good. And then the altcoins actually started dumping against USD even while Bitcoin was going up. And that's where a lot of people lost their sanity and started selling and started hating on coins. I saw, like, I went into the XRP subreddit back then, and I saw people being like all over the place being like, I'm done with this shit. I could see that happen again. So do not go all into this, and do not kind of risk more than would kind of make you keep your sanity. Because like I said, I've seen people lose their minds based on the fact that they're missing out on an entire run just because they're sitting all in altcoins while Bitcoin just keeps on running. And then if you're in that position and you're all in already and that happens, you're going to be the one that capitulates the moment Bitcoin puts in the top. Because I still think the best kind of buying opportunity for altcoins is when Bitcoin actually starts topping. So Bitcoin starts topping has its... Okay, Sorry, my microphone just died, but I should be back. But yeah, so yeah, the microphone's driving me crazy. It's actually a new one, and it's just not working. So yeah, the moment Bitcoin starts topping is, at least that's how 2017 played out, and is the moment where altcoins get most attractive, where like you get this pullback, everyone's still talking about a pullback, which is like a good 20, 30, 40% pullback, which a lot of people are used to by that point. And then it bounces a little, altcoins go off like crazy, and then it goes down, right? I still think this, like, even though, like, yeah, it's happened before, blah, 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 people will expect it. Like, that kind of talk gets out a lot, but I still think it's gonna be how the best kind of altcoin buys come in. The problem with it is, like, if it doesn't play out like that again, and you're not getting any position on any altcoins, and then the altcoins go off, it's going to be really hard to buy in, right? So I'm taking stabs just based on the fact that we are in a territory where I think there's going to be a lot of media attention. But yeah. So it's worth the risk for me, but I'm not like betting the house just based on the fact that it's not the perfect situation for the altcoins to go off. Because generally speaking, they go off down here, not up here, not up here. So don't get me wrong on me saying, okay, I'm looking for setups, because in general, I'm just taking stabs at the market that has been trending down a lot and still is in a downtrend. It's just me taking a risk on, like, let's say, for example, on XRP. It's just me saying I could see this pattern that has been put in multiple times over the past just not play out again. Maybe we get like the altcoin bullishness before I expected to, and this is a decent risk-defined setup that I'm willing to take. So yeah, that's kind of my reasoning. I hope that makes sense to you. But yeah, that is how it is. Bitcoin top predictions, no idea. I've never done that before, really. I still remember, like, there was one time where someone asked me for like a top prediction, and that was I think in here, and I drew like something like this, and then drew the moon up here. I don't know, like, if anyone from that time is still around, but I had this meme where I drew the moon on here, and I had like these rocket, like I drew like a rocket there, and it literally price, like, I had it exactly here, and price hit that, and it just dumped. So I kind of felt guilty ever since. But yeah, that was the last time I kind of did that. No idea where it goes, man. It's like, that's the thing. Like, whenever people pull out these kind of targets out of their ass, yes, it sounds really smart and whatever, but it's not based on anything really. So it's just, yeah, I don't like doing it. And it kind of like, let's say I say this goes to 50K, right? And then it goes to 30 and then starts crashing and starts pulling back massively and puts in a high for a cycle, goes sideways for like 10 years. And people come to me and are like, yeah, I never sold the high because you said it's going to 50K. Like, that doesn't sit right with me. My opinion on where this is going to top out is not better than yours. Because, like, really, where do I get that from? Like, yes, if I see price action that kind of indicates that we're topping out, I can kind of comment on that, right? But I can't say, okay, based on my calculations of X, Y, and Z, this is going to 80K, and then it's going to put in like a 47% pullback. Like, get the fuck away with that. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, like the price predictions, they're going to come around again just based on the fact that which levels we are. And for some reason, and I mean, I get it why people want to hear them, but it's dangerous because it really, like, people were predicting prices for $100 of XRP, and then people never sold because XRP is going to 100, or Bitcoin is going to 50K back at 20K. People never sold because Bitcoin is going to 50K. And if if you're forever holding, it's fine, right? At least for Bitcoin, in my opinion. Like I don't mind people holding Bitcoin forever. I do mind holding like some of the altcoins. I have like a few words about that. Like if you're playing the altcoins for anything longer than like a month or 2 or 3, you're getting into risky waters, because if you look back on how altcoins have performed in the long run, statistically speaking, it's very unlikely that you're gonna pick the one that is just gonna stick around. I mean, ETH's been doing well, and a lot of people have picked ETH, but that is a massive outlier in comparison to like a lot of people are looking at these altcoins and they're like, this is gonna be it. But really, like, do you really know? It's really hard to judge. Whereas with Bitcoin, you kind of know that Bitcoin's gonna be around. But yeah, that's just my opinion. But yeah, in general, I think this is a better time than most to kind of look at the altcoins. It's a really bad time to go all in, I think, but it's a good time to kind of get some risk on, just based on the fact that we have a lot of eyes on the market. So it would make sense to pump some of these. And I mean, best example here, Link. I've been shorting this literally with you guys since up here, right? We've been shorting this all the way down. Bitcoin pair is at support. Didn't manage to break down, even though Bitcoin mega rallied. So I'd be very, very uncomfortable shorting this. Really doesn't look good, right? It really doesn't look good. Just based on the fact that it's just steadily downtrending into support that's been tested a million times already. But the moment you get any kind of stall on Bitcoin, I could see this go up quite a bit. And then the thing is, like, this goes up a little bit, and Link USD goes up a lot, right? So, like, the Bitcoin pair here could easily bounce back to up here. That just be back to the old range it was in, 30%, right? But 30% is a massive move for the USD pair. But yeah, and the thing is, like, with these coins is that if you've been stuck in them, right? And Link is really like the fan favorite of almost anyone, really. Like, just for some reason, everyone is holding Link. I mean, if you've held this from 16th of August till now, right? You're down 34%. And, I mean, you're down against Bitcoin. Like, 34% might not sound like much, but against Bitcoin, you're down 60%, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, if you're not careful, you're going to get run over. But then again, like, this is finally at support. So I just closed my shorts, not really interested in holding them any longer. It's been nice. And this is something that a lot of people do wrong with these kind of trades. Something that I did that a lot of people ask me why I did it. But yeah, so I'll explain what I did. So I shorted this, it went down, right? And then what I looked for in general, because I don't want to be short crypto when Bitcoin or like in general crypto is doing so well. So I took this as a hedge. So I didn't like just massively short it. But 2, I looked for any kind of strength really, right? So can we reclaim any resistance as support? Can we do anything really? And this broke down, bounced into resistance, got rejected by resistance, broke back down. Bounced from that support, couldn't reclaim this high, went down, retested this resistance, and you can kind of see that this has never tested like on the entire way down. It's never tested the same resistance twice, right? So it broke down here. It tested, like, this is a 3-day resistance where it broke down from. Then it tested this. Then it tested this area. And it broke down, tested this. And now we're actually testing it twice, right? So bounced here, tested resistance twice. And that's kind of where, when you're careful and when you not want to be around shorting something too long, that is where you take your exit. And a lot of people would say, but wait, this is a bearish retest. And why are you getting out into resistance? But the fact is, it's already retested this. They shouldn't even get there anymore. So I sold, like the moment I saw this green candle, I was looking for an exit and I sold in the lower end of this candle. We talked about this last week. So that's kind of how I played this. And now, I mean, could break to the upside, could do whatever. I'm fine with that trade. I don't wanna take it any further. But yeah, this is technically again a bearish retest. But you've already tested this level 3 times, so not gonna get involved. I think Link's actually, like, if I had to pick, I'd long Link rather than short it here. Then again, there's a good possibility if Bitcoin takes a massive stab to the upside that this just capitulates down here. And then you get the thing that I've been talking about for years now, which is altcoin capitulation. And hasn't really happened yet. So there's a good chance that that still does happen. So, I mean, I'm going to keep money on the side for that I'm willing to spend when the altcoins capitulate, if they do. So yeah, that's kind of my plan for the altcoins. Any questions to that? Because I've been going on and on and on talking without actually asking if you guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, if you do have any questions, do let me know. Do you have any particular opinion on Litecoin USD? I haven't even looked at Litecoin USD, but oh yes, I did actually. I did earlier. Yeah, looks good. Looks good to me. Like, what's happened on Litecoin USD? It's kind of funny looking back because I was talking about this being a shakeout back in 18. That was with Bitcoin being really low and everything. And I was like, this is when you get like a Litecoin USD long, this is like the best kind of place to do so. Right? And it rallied, retested it, got this black swan event where it retested it. And it like kind of did nothing for the longest time. It's now starting to break out, right? In general, with these kind of things, right? You could have bought it 40, 50, whatever, and now pat yourself on the back based on the fact that it's up. But like I said earlier, if you compare it to Bitcoin, just like massively underperformed with higher risk. That said, now it's kind of getting into an area where it gets really interesting because now, like, this is the trading range that we've had, right? This down here. This area is the trading range. It broke to the upside and then even broke above the high here, kind of used it as support. So it's not looking too bad. I don't mind it. The one thing that you don't want to see is it go back down here. If it does go back below like 70, like 80, 70, that area, like if it for some reason goes back down here, I think then I'd be very troubled because then I'd expect it to just take another dump. But until that happens, I think this kind of looks like a good place for Litecoin as well. Doesn't look bearish to me. It's just kind of like some things, like some coins like to do this, where they're just ranging here, go up, range here, go up, range here. And it's kind of what Litecoin's doing. Hey Don, do you think MATIC will ever go up again? Oh, MATIC's an old one we haven't talked in a long while. Let me see. I actually haven't looked at MATIC in forever. Oh shit. Look, I wonder where this drawing is from. Probably like whenever I see these coins, I'm like, if it does reclaim, this probably goes to the moon. But as long as it hasn't, it looks bad. This one looks pretty shitty, not gonna lie. Could go anywhere really, but like this one looks pretty damn shitty. It's at cycle lows, it's whatever. I'm not gonna touch it, just based on the fact that you've had these massive pump and dumps on this, and it couldn't hold the floor that it set. So for me, kind of like, when does this get interesting again? And I think this is actually now the better area. And this is something that I talked about last stream as well, like moving support resistance zones whenever it makes sense to do so is pretty important in my opinion. So in this case, you have this, right? And it's very obvious that this is support resistance based on the fact big dump stops here. This holds as a floor for ages, right? So you could say, yeah, just going to keep this forever. And then if it does go back up here, it's going to be bullish, right? But I think you can be more efficient than that, just based on the fact that the nearest resistance on this is going to be this. That's kind of the origin of the entire move on this side. So if you do reclaim this, I think it goes up. And then you could see, like, if it does go back up, does retest this, maybe you take some off here at that resistance, but it's much better kind of starting point in my opinion. You don't miss out too much of the move. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But yeah, if you like the coin and you know something that I don't, because I don't know anything about this, other than that I think it's a coin based in India. Could even be wrong on that front. Maybe that was something else. But yeah, you see like my expertise based on this coin doesn't go very far. So yeah, but the chart looks pretty shitty to me. In general, I think what people kind of underestimate a lot actually is that you have PayPal allowing cryptos to be bought, and then there's only certain cryptos on there, which are the main ones. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, XRP. Those are the ones that I think are gonna lead the charge if they do go up, like if altcoins generally go up. Whereas the smaller ones are the ones that are probably gonna put in bigger gains, but at the tail end of it all, if it does happen, right? If altcoins go up, I think it has to be based on the major ones doing well first. So you're kind of wasting your time, I think, looking for the smaller ones, other than the ones that actually have like, looking at the smaller ones, besides the ones that actually have something coming, right? Excuse me, I just lost my thought there. So if you know, like there's some kind of news coming out, there's a Coinbase listing or whatever, they're fine to play. But if you don't have any like kind of behind the scenes or background, or like call it what you want, insider information, I'd focus on the bigger ones. But that's just my gut feeling. But like last time altcoins did well. They did well based on the fact that, or like off the backs of Litecoin and Ripple. And then the other stuff went up as well. So I think that's probably going to play out the same or like a similar way again. And if it doesn't, I mean, these are pretty damn liquid, so easy to play in comparison to the other ones. So yeah. There's obviously ones that I do not include. Like if you have any kind of good coin that you love for whatever it does, or where you think it has potential, and you're listening to this and you're like, shit, this is small coin, it's probably not gonna do well. Don't get me wrong. Like if you have something that is underpriced, right, where you exactly know, okay, this coin that like there's a lot of hype value, there's a lot of stuff coming that I think is gonna drive price up. Don't get me wrong, that's completely different. But if you're just holding this for the fun of it, and you have no idea what's coming or anything about it really, I think you're better off with the other ones. Someone asked about EOS. I wonder who's left that likes EOS, because this chart is an abomination of the highest degree. Like this is just fucking ugly. Excuse my language. It's just like whenever you have these dumps and then a bounce and then just like the slow bleed, you get these kind of like low time frame or like middle time frame divergences and that kind of stuff. You sometimes get like pops out of those, but like I wouldn't expect too much. Like if you get like a nice bounce, it's kind of like what I'm expecting. I'm not expecting this to reverse anytime soon. And I'm not actually like expecting a bounce right now, just based on the fact that like it's EOS. No idea what EOS is gonna do. But I've never been a fan of EOS in the first place. And the chart doesn't really add any confidence to the story, for me anyway. So, I mean, that's just kind of rough. But I'll change my tune the moment it starts getting back above green, but that's so far away that I'm just going to be spending my money elsewhere. Did you ever look at ALG? Oh man, you don't know the half of it. I traded ALG a shitload back in the day. It's one of the ones I like best, like way back. And yeah, you can kind of see it goes a long way back. I've looked for this, and this is kind of the setups that I've been playing a lot in general on the altcoins. It's pretty nice actually that it does. And I mean, it didn't quite play out the exact way that I intended it to, but it did go exactly to where I wanted to go. So yeah, I've been playing this back in the day. Not playing it right now, just based on the fact, like, if you look at this coin, something that you see, like, that the high terms kind of look rough, right? Like, this looks pretty shitty. You have this formation to the top, and then you go have it on the opposite side, and it just pull the right, go down, and then just go down forever. Like, that is not a chart that puts any confidence in me to just trade it. There's a big difference to like the XRP or whatever, the names that have survived so far. But yeah, if you wanna look at ARK, I don't think it's looking particularly good right now. There's a bunch of altcoins that look better, but I think it kind of makes sense to look at this zone. Kind of, I mean, if you want to make it like super accurate, this is the range, right? Roughly, I can't even make it super accurate, but this roughly is the range, right? And I think you don't want to be a buyer or like too aggressive at the range lows, just based on the fact that even if you miss out on the first few percent, like, it does get interesting above here, doesn't really get interesting below there, in my opinion. And even if it does get back above here, if it's not like in the way that I want it to, like, sometimes you get these sideways going coins and then they pump and you're like, I'm interested if they break the range, but they pump in like one candle, go up like 200% in one candle, straight out of nowhere, and it's based on whatever Coinbase listing or anything. Foaming into that is not necessarily my style. Like, if you like, one of the coins that I've been looking at for the longest time is one of that I actually like actively trade in general. Like, this is one where I've had my fingers in a lot of the moves. Is DNT. Not the biggest fan of like what the coin stands for, but like, I like trading this a lot. And you got this pump out of nowhere, which is a Coinbase listing, and now it's kind of looking proper shitty, and I can't really touch it anymore, just based on the fact that this just kind of ruined the chart, and I have no idea where I would want to get in and out. So like, whenever I get these like mega pumps out of nowhere on coins, and I've had a solid plan before, I'm just like, okay, I'm just not gonna touch it. Look for something else. Like, there's a million coins out there, right? You don't have to chase the ones that actually like pull something that you didn't expect. So yeah. That is kind of like, it's kind of fun looking through these altcoins, because now there's actually potential for them to go up once at least Bitcoin starts chilling. I don't think it's gonna be particularly rosy for them until Bitcoin does start chilling, or actually does start pulling back. But it's fun based on the fact that there's actual potential there now. And I've been talking about this for years. You don't want to be too deep in the altcoin cookie jar until Bitcoin goes to all-time high, and then you have a chance of it actually going up again. So now that we have Bitcoin at all-time high, I think there's good reason to kind of check on your altcoins often enough. And something that you're gonna have to kind of expect as well is that they could easily kind of parabola to the downside while Bitcoin parabolas to the upside. And even if Bitcoin dumps, I think these would do poorly. But if Bitcoin dumps really hard and then kind of consolidates, that's where I think these go off. So during Bitcoin dumps, I'm going to be looking strongly at the altcoins. And like I said, there's a few interesting setups. XRP, interesting to me. Litecoin, interesting to me. Kind of trying to find something with Bitcoin Cash, but Bitcoin Cash kind of looks shitty. ETH, very difficult as well. Not really the biggest fan of the ETH BTC chart. I'll change my tune if we do go back above 0.031. That's kind of my line in the sand where I might actually look for ETH BTC trades as well. And I don't really care how high ETH USD goes. I mean, it's always a benefit, right? But I'm trying to outperform Bitcoin. So, and the good part about that is that, I mean, ETH's trading at 600 and it was trading at 80 just a while back. And it's really difficult to kind of trade it with that mindset. But what you're trying to do is outperforming Bitcoin with the trade. So against Bitcoin, ETH's barely up anything, right? I mean, it is up a lot in comparison to the other altcoins, but it's up like 80% against Bitcoin after a drop of, I mean, in general, almost 90%. So that's just barely a bounce against Bitcoin, right? So at some point in time, if this does play out bullish, hopefully it's going to outperform Bitcoin. You're going to make more Bitcoin with it, and then you have more Bitcoin that you can do whatever with. And for me, it's always this kind of game. You have an altcoin on this side. Like you have Bitcoin, your Bitcoin, put some into your altcoins, that grows if you do it right, and then you put it back into Bitcoin, and then your Bitcoin pile gets bigger. And that's kind of how how I play the altcoins in general. It's how I've always played them. For me, they're temporary. I don't really stick around too long. So it's a game of timing the market right. And it's very difficult to time the market right. But there are windows where you can play it. And I think the window starts opening with Bitcoin all-time high. So yeah, I showed a Bitcoin at 2830. Pray for me, looking to flip Giga long and Degen long 2500. I mean, good luck to you, man. I don't particularly mind shorting above 20k. The thing is, I don't really see the reason why you'd want to short it with like just $200 of a move in mind, because then you're kind of like taking quite the risk on to just capture a little bit of a move. Like if you're shorting it, I think you should have like lower targets and then just pull it through all the way, or just instead long the dips. Because I mean, when you're already going out of your way to short, I don't think it makes much sense to do it for little money, because otherwise you're just better off just longing instead. Even more so, like something, it's a story that has kind of gone around on crypto Twitter and in general in the media, is, and I've known a lot of people as well, and I can talk about my story before I tell another person's story. So back down here, I don't know why, there's not really a technical reason, but I turned really bullish here, just bought a shitload, just based on the fact that I felt this entire drop was bullshit, so I just bought. And a friend of mine was like, this is so bullish, but I really want this to go to the support. Like, this is the support where it has to go. This is where it's gonna bottom, and I'm gonna short till the support just because it makes sense. That's where it's gonna bottom. So he shorted, and I mean, he did make some money. I think he shorted up here, went down, and then he aggressively tried to short, and this just broke to the upside. And you're like, dude, you were like, this is super bullish. I'm looking for a massive upside, but I'm trying to get this last, how much is this? these last 10, 11, 12%, just to make some profit, I mean, that doesn't really make much sense, right? Because if you're expecting huge upside, what you're trying to do should be, okay, I'm trying to long this at any point possible, because really I'm expecting it to go up. So if you're here and you're like, okay, I think this is going to go down big time, then it makes sense to short it, right? Based on the fact that you actually, like, your end result is going to go to the downside, right? But if you're expecting to go up big side, like if you're thinking this goes up to 25K and you're shorting for 200 here, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because if you're wrong, you might not be positioned right for it to like actually go. When it goes to 25, you're actually going to be offside and you might be like, ah, fuck, I fucked up my trade, just miss it all. Or like, yeah, in general, it's just going to put you in the wrong mindset. So in my opinion, like if you're mega bullish and you're just like, yeah, but just one more dip, like that is usually the worst kind of mindset to be in. Like if you're bullish, look for dips. If you're bearish, look for rips that you can sell into. But like okay, but one last dip thing. It's like, I mean, if you remember back to like your youth or whatever, and you're like, just one more drink or just one more whatever, usually turns out really shitty. So it's just my experience. Like if I'm looking for upside, I'm trying to long the dips and I'm not going to be aggressively shorting. Just makes little sense to me. And the opposite is true when I'm trying to short. But yeah, excuse the tangent. And there's one good thread about it from Angelo that had a friend that did a similar thing down here, where it's like, this is super bullish, it's going to 10K, but I'm capturing the last little bit. So, I mean, the thing is, like, it's not necessarily dangerous for the one trade that you're taking. It's dangerous for the mindset that you're in. Because the moment the person that got stopped out here, he's going to be more aggressive up here. They're like, yeah, this was just shakeout. People got stopped out, like me, like people that were trying to kind of short this. And then you short here again. And then it goes up and you're like, fuck, now the move that I anticipated already played out. So what the fuck do I do now? So, yeah. What about BAT? Still interested? From like a coin point, like from, do I like BAT? Yes. From the chart, fuck no. Like this looks proper shitty. That's kind of the thing where I see strength in these majors, right? I see strength in Litecoin. Much more than in BAT. And if you compare this, and I mean, you can do this wherever, like whenever you want. I always type so slow because I actually have my microphone in my face, so I can't see anything, and I'm trying to not ruin everything. But yeah, if you compare Litecoin to BAT, and Litecoin's not done like super well, but like you can kind of see how it's outperforming massively. And BAT is the smaller coin, right? So you would expect a smaller coin with more risk to do better, but Litecoin's been outperforming. And like I said, Litecoin isn't even the one that is performing the best. So yeah, it's kind of rough for these. I'm not expecting them to catch up. I'm expecting them to underperform until we're at a later stage of the cycle. So that's where I am coming from. I don't see this doing much better than the other altcoins, the bigger ones, until we're much further in. But yeah, I'm going to be looking for longs here. It's just, I mean, the chart looks kind of shitty. So I don't want to get too aggressive before it does look good again. Donald, drop free alpha on you all. Hit the like degens. I would appreciate that. I always get nice messages from Cred if I'm mentioning the like button. So makes my day. this will sound stupid, but I have no one with knowledge to ask. How did you short Link? Because in BitMEX, you can only sell by Link USDT, which I thought by selling will give me BTC. So, I mean, there's different ways to trade this. I like Bybit for Link. It's good enough liquidity. And yeah, in general, what you do is, for example, with, because you asked about BitMEX, right? And I actually haven't traded Link on BitMEX before, just based on the fact that I'm not trading on BitMEX anymore. But in general, you have Bitcoin on BitMEX, and then you enter a position, Link against USD, for example. Your collateral is Bitcoin, right? Because BitMEX only allows you to hold Bitcoin. It doesn't allow you to hold USDT or anything else. And then if you make money, you're getting Bitcoin out of it. And if you lose money, you're losing Bitcoin out of it. So you're risking Bitcoin to trade Link USD, even though there's no Bitcoin in that pair. So yeah, you can kind of read up on what exactly these kind of terms are on the BitMEX site. They have pretty good documentation. Like what is a quanto, what is an inverse perp, that kind of stuff. I think you really should check up on what they actually offer on their site, because they let you know like what exactly is what, and their documentation is really good. Why would you use an exchange that doesn't let you hold USDT? I personally think it's actually one of the best things for an exchange to do for their customers. The sad part is that the customers don't want it. So BitMEX, for example, lets you only trade with Bitcoin. That has it's not necessarily just BitMEX, but in general, I trade with Bitcoin as collateral. Always have been, always will be, right? So I've not been particularly aggressive on this entire move up, right? I've traded aggressively these entire moves, made more and more Bitcoin, tried to maximize the amount of Bitcoin that I had, right? On this move, down here, in here, even up till 10K. And then at 10K, I was like, I'm way overexposed to this market. So I sold a bunch, right? Quite a bit, actually. Bought back a little bit down here, but not too much, right? And then this entire rally happened, right? Let's say my entire account is in USDT. I wouldn't have gotten any benefit out of this. But based on the fact that my entire collateral is in Bitcoin, I'm making money just based on the fact that Bitcoin is going up. So like if your entire value that you have in the market is in USDT, you actually have to be longing Bitcoin constantly if you're bullish Bitcoin. And in general, Bitcoin's just been going up most of the time, so it just kind of makes sense to have exposure. And my exposure is my collateral, basically. So I have Bitcoin to trade with, and I have plenty of it. So that's kind of makes it way easier for me, because otherwise I'd be sweating bullets right now, missing out on a big rally. So yeah, I think like a lot of people, what they do, beginners anyway, and I know because I've been around for a lot of like early 2017, a lot of people came to the space. Not too many, but a lot. End of 17, a lot of people came to the space, and then in 18, a few more, right? But in my experience, most of the beginners that start margin trading or leverage trading in general, they start losing. Like it goes down, like their balance goes down for half a year, sometimes longer. But what most of the time saves these people is that Bitcoin actually goes up. So their USD balance goes up anyway. And at some point, they make the cut and actually get profitable trading. And yeah, I'm trying to kind of accelerate at least for a few people that actually put in the time, that where they kind of can turn the curve and actually get profitable. But I mean, it's not necessarily possible for everyone, right? But in general, for the people that have been trading this, they're kind of like, their saving grace is Bitcoin going up. So if you're completely based in USDT, you don't have that luxury, because I mean, Bitcoin's just broken all-time high. So anyone that bought it and didn't do too poorly in trading is actually up now. That works inversely as well, though. That is true. But then again, like, why would you be trading crypto if you're expecting it to continuously go down, right? The fact that you're trading this should mean that you're at least baseline a little bit bullish, right? And I mean, I think that's true for most of us. Do you have more than 20 Bitcoin or less than? I mean, that's a pretty rude question to ask in the crypto space, but I do have more than that. But in general, people don't necessarily like being asked that kind of stuff. We don't really talk about it. Even though with all these new coins being traded on Uniswap, it seems weird how so many new scams are being created and propagated to many people. I mean, that is true, but then again, that's always been the case for crypto. You've always had a lot of scams. You've always had stuff come up. And the more bullish the market gets, the more you have to get used to it. I mean, at some point during the 17 rally, BitConnect actually got into the top 10 of the crypto, of the biggest cryptos. And then everyone was talking about it. And you had all of YouTube shilling their crypto, their BitConnect stuff. So it's just how it is. Crypto attracts scams, always has been, and they're not gonna get rid of it. It's impossible. It's like asking what's your net worth? Yeah, pretty much. It's just not something that you talk about. You think this could be the last good Bitcoin cycle, Don? Yeah, I mean, honestly, again, this is something that we're gonna talk about in the next newsletter in a little bit more depth, Craig and I. But I could see this play out like gold, honestly. So if you look at gold, and let's remove all the pesky drawings. This is gold. Took out the all-time high, rallied past it by a few percent, and then took a dump and consolidates since. I could see the same thing happen for Bitcoin. Takes out the all-time high, consolidates here between like 20, 25K, maybe goes back to a little bit lower, and then we'll see what gold does at that point, right? In general, I think that's very possible. It could also be that just Bitcoin just siphons off value from gold, where it would actually do something else. But I could see it play out similarly. But then again, like, even if this goes sideways, wouldn't be bearish, right? And the thing is, I could see this be the last cycle of quick money in Bitcoin. Because, I mean, if you look at gold, how long has this been taking? Like, this took forever. And Bitcoin is actually getting big enough now that it's getting into the big leagues where stuff just takes longer. So it's not necessarily the last bull cycle, and I don't think that's the case, but it might be the last one where you just double and triple and quadruple in a few months. And I could see that. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. So far, like, I'm not the biggest gold. I think gold is pretty shitty in comparison to Bitcoin, to be honest. Like, if you want to have something gold-like, get Bitcoin. Not the biggest fan of, like, the gold properties in general, which makes it, like, the only kind of play that I can really make on Bitcoin is the fact that I think it's undervalued compared to gold. And I still think that's the case. I'm not the biggest fan of the value proposition of gold in general. But I think I might be one of the few people in the crypto sphere that thinks like that, because for most people, that's kind of the holy grail. But for me, it's kind of like putting your money in gold is kind of backwards. Sorry, man, didn't mean to be rude. No offense taken. It's just something that I thought I'd mentioned because, yeah, if you ask the wrong person, not going to be happy about it. Is there not a massive inverse head and shoulders in ALGO USD going back to September? We can look at ALGO. So against Bitcoin looks pretty shitty, right? Against Bitcoin, I think this is kind of the best guide to look for. Like if it can actually retake this, that'd be good news. Like this area. Whoops, sorry. That is where you want to like that resistance is the one that actually matters. And then if you go into the USD pair, and that is like just explains what I'm talking or what I've been talking about really well, because the USD pair has probably done pretty well, but you've not done well if you've just been sitting in this, because like ever since the shakeout, you're barely up in comparison to Bitcoin. But yeah, I wouldn't call this an inverse head and shoulders. Like I draw some wanky ass head and shoulders, but this is even a tall ask for me. Yeah, not the biggest fan of that. No. I mean, it could definitely play to the upside, but I think that is probably better judged by the Bitcoin pair. But then again, like you have support here. Like I'm not saying this not as support. This is much better than the head and shoulders, right? So you have this range here, breaks to the upside, breaks to the downside, gets reclaimed, gets lost, and now it's chilling above again. So really it should not go below here ever again. Otherwise, just wouldn't touch it. But as long as it kind of holds this like 0.3 area, it's not bad looking. It's worse looking than Bitcoin is, but it's not bad looking. Can anyone tell me, did we need to buy Bitcoin now or not? I mean, I wouldn't, like, that's a hard question, man. Like, Bitcoin just broke all-time high to 20,800, and you're asking if you should buy now. I mean, I personally wouldn't buy at 28, but dude, like it broke all-time high. It could go higher, really. It's just not where I would open a trade or like in general just buy spot. But yeah, that's just, I have no idea, man. Could go higher in the short term. Could go like it pull back significantly too. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I hope that helped. We went over a few things. We're gonna go over a few more next stream. I think there's gonna be plenty of time with the altcoins. They are interesting, and I'm looking at them, but there's no rush. So yeah, I hope it helped. I hope you kind of got something from that. With Bitcoin, as long as we hold 20K, I don't see a reason why it would go any lower. If we start losing 20K for more than a week, I'd start getting concerned. But it's always nice to kind of be able to move your goalposts higher and higher and higher. Because really, like 20K, getting to sell at 20K, if it does start dipping below 20K, that's a pretty good number to be able to sell if it does start playing out bearishly, which we're not expecting. But if it does play out, I mean, I'm not going to be the one to complain when I have to sell at 20K because the chart turns bearish, right? So it's pretty good spot to be in. So yeah, thanks for coming by. Big shout out to Bybit for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate it. Appreciate their support. Their links are in the description if you do want to check them out. And yeah, like I said, appreciate you coming by. It's always nice to have people to chat to. And so yeah, I appreciate that. See you guys on Friday, hopefully, if I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be around, but I'll try to make it, just based on the fact that I'm moving and or like moving soon and have a lot of family stuff coming up. But yeah, I'll try to make it, and then we'll see if we do get a guest or not. I think we should be getting one. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. And yeah, appreciate you coming by. See ya. Bye bye.